Welcome back, YouTubers, to my channel for Everyday Life of an Aspie. If you're following me right now, I'm Aspie. I'm all about creating mental health and awareness, sharing my life stories, as well as basically tips and advice along the way. I also just share some words of encouragement here and there when you guys need it most. So it has been brought to my attention, obviously, that at this point of time that I'm trying to do some of the narcissist sociopathic kind of series. So these are the ones that I really want to clearly address, as well as some other nitty-gritty topics that people may not want to talk about, because obviously this is real and we need to face it sometime and know the science. So this one is addressed as a question to all: is should you blame the narcissist or should we blame the narcissist? As we know, basically majority of the time when it comes down into it in our lives, we will tend to make a few mistakes here and there. There's sometimes some decisions we go through, we tend to throw the ties of the cot, or throw the towel out, or spit the dummy, or the whatever. We tend to want to throw around our weight and just swear or cuss, or even want to find a place where we can blame something or someone when things don't go our way. We tend to shift the blame, or even just have some thoughts in our minds that we may think something along the lines of that, like something like this: this problem/situation that I'm facing right now is with a particular someone or something that is in the way. To give you a better understanding into this example, let's say that I say to you, my life is absolutely crap because of you. What this absolutely means is that my life today can't get any better unless you fix it for me. That does sound messed up, don't you think? As we know, we all have choices, possibilities and chances to make things right and to make that change in our lives, regardless what it is that we are facing. Why have I made my existence so dependent on you to do what you can do to help me, etc.? Have I handed over my power, just handing it to you after making me feel so weak, tired, and more just by blaming you about my day that I have had? You see, sometimes in our lives we tend to go through a lot of things, and we tend to have so much pain and guilt and us, as well as some other behaviours, actions and thinking that is conditioned to a point where that we seem to stay stuck for a period of time. And then we tend to use our past experiences where we tend to really push people away, or even just start blaming others. We then tend to ask ourselves for the ones that are going through their personal struggles. How free are they from their emotional, physical traumas in their lives? We tend to have been disconnected by mispartnering. As a young child, we need to feel loved, nurtured and wanted, and this goes right through till we reach adulthood. Yet what we project and see from others is what may instill in our brains. Okay, blame is defined as 1. Feel or declare that someone or something is responsible for a fault or wrong, or 2. Responsibility for fault or wrong. We tend to label and judge people before we know things don't go our way. So the 12 things we could try and do to stop blaming ourselves are: 1. Our emotions. So what if you cry a lot, or are too concerned, or to get too passionate about something that matters to you? There's no such thing as too much when it comes to feelings. The sooner we learn that, the more emotionally healthy we will be, as well as knowing how to control our emotions. 2. The way it leads on to number 2, I should say, which is the way we handle our emotions. Write out everything you're thinking in a letter, slam a door, don't feel guilty about it, go for a run, shut off your phone, do whatever you need to do in order to process what you're going through. Do it unapologetically. Everyone handles a challenge in their own unique way, however. 3. Another person's rejection. It's not your fault that someone doesn't like your hair, your stance in politics, or the way you carry yourself. That's their problem. If you're behaving in a way that's most authentic to you, that's all you can do. The right people, the ones who belong in your life, will accept every part of you. 4. Little failures and big failures, of course. We're human. Mistakes are in our nature. We forgive others for their indiscretions. It's time to start extending ourselves the same contrary courtesy. Number 5. Someone else's circumstances. In the iconic romantic comedy When Harry Meets Sally, a patron that overheard Meg Ryan's, shall we say, satisfying lunch family slated, I'll have what she's having. As lovely as that sentiment is, that isn't always possible. Don't compare your own story to someone else's story, however. The personal shame that comes from not having what she or he is having is too much for one soul to manage. Your needs Humans are incredibly complex, so our necessities are going to be incredibly different. Don't blame yourself for needing certain components from a relationship or a career someone else may not feel is necessary. Don't apologise for knowing what it takes to make you feel fulfilled. Number 7. Guilty pleasures. If watching The Bachelor with a giant container of pad thai is your thing, there's no shame in it. It's also perfectly acceptable to enjoy going to happy hour or dating around or meditating every night. You like what you like, embrace it, don't hide it. 8. Being terrible at something. Some of us were born with the ability to craft the heck out of an antique coffee table. Others burn themselves with a hot glue gun. Life is a series of trials and errors. You have your own unique gifts to offer the world that are different from someone else's. Number 9. Putting yourself before anyone else. The relationship you have with your own heart, mind and soul is the most important relationship you can have. There's nothing wrong with being a little selfish when the time calls for it. 10. Trusting someone you should know. Feeling burned or betrayed by someone can swallow you whole, but their actions are their own and have nothing to do with you. People are flawed. Sometimes these flaws show up in the beginning, sometimes they don't have to reveal themselves until years down the line. If we keep the walls up every single time we meet someone to protect ourselves from getting hurt, we'd live a life of sheer loneliness, and there's nothing worse than that. 11. A terminated relationship. Some people aren't meant to stay in our life beyond the lessons they've taught us. It's as simple as that. 12. Anything that happened in the past. Ruminating on the past is like waking up every morning and consciously putting on a puka shell necklace or some other hideous fashion trend that belongs back in the early decade. You have the power to make a deliberate choice to live in the now. Any event, negative or otherwise, belongs in the time period which it occurred. The only direction you can move in is forward. That's a really beautiful thing. Other steps to stop blaming yourself, along with a bit of tips and advice. Blame versus responsibility. It's very important to understand the distinct difference between blaming yourself and taking responsibility for your own actions. When things do go wrong, as sometimes will, there are times when someone is to blame for the wrong that happened, and sometimes things just happen that are not really anyone else's fault but our own maybe. But sometimes when some things go wrong, some of it can't be controlled in our fashion. Sometimes some stuff goes beyond our control and our thoughts to why it happened in the first place. Blamers are usually our condemnation that someone has given, whether for legitimate reasons or not. When being blamed for something, do not just accept that for a fact, but look at the circumstances around the situation. Evaluate them, why are they blaming me? What happened? How it happened? Was I the culprit? Whatever that may be. When you accept the responsibility for a wrong, you are saying that you are the cause for something to have happened. Responsibility is something that you can stand up and say that you have done it. Accept responsibility for it, make necessary amends, and move on. For example, if you are going through a divorce, you can take responsibility for the mistakes that you made, like lying, cheating, whatever, but you are not the only one to blame for the marriage falling apart. Only accept the responsibility for your part and not blame it for the whole thing. Love yourself. Above everything else, love yourself and stop being so hard on yourself. You have many things to offer to give to people and the world, and instead of focusing on how you are to blame for everything, you should focus on the positives. Make a list of all the positive traits that you have and make the list long and detailed. Do not start thinking that there are no positives, because everyone has their good points, just like everyone has bad points, like the yin and yang. You can include on your list of attributes to your personality trait, hobbies, things you like and things you are good at. You'll be pleasantly surprised by how many things you were able to think of. Now you need to start focusing on these factors and not you blaming and criticizing yourself. Find a way to enhance some of your positive features and make them a more prominent part of your life. Loving ourselves is important, as we know that sometimes we are hard on ourselves, no matter what it is, and that now and again we tend to just think that we aren't able to receive love from others, or then just loving ourselves first is the first step to know what we want and cry for in our lives. Get help for you. Self-esteem is one of the things that can eat away from you or at you if you choose to let it. Your poor self-image of yourself may have developed as a child, but that doesn't mean that it has to live with you for the rest of your life. There are ways that you can learn to love yourself and learn to take responsibility and not continuously blame yourself for everything that does happen under the sun. If you have allowed yourself to become very down and cannot seem to get over blaming yourself, it may be time to ask for help. A good counsellor can help you overcome some of these thoughts that you are having and help you learn to love yourself. You need to be able to move past all the blame and come into a place where you are happy with who you and what you are. We all make mistakes, and blaming yourself doesn't help anything in the end. You can learn from your mistakes and move on and become a better person. Help others Start putting your talents to good use and start helping others in need. If you are going to blame yourself for everything that happens, then it's time to start blaming yourself for the good things too. Helping others will help you feel good about yourself and what you can do. It will help you focus on the positive things about yourself and not just the negative. It is also always good to be appreciated by people. You can volunteer at a local soup kitchen if you've got one, your church, homeless shelter, hospital, or anywhere that you have the special talents that can be put into good use. Once you start focusing on others and their problems, yours will not seem so bad. This may just cure the help to help you move past whatever situation you are working through. Blame yourself will only work to bring you down, not help you to grow as a person. It doesn't feel good to help others once we have helped ourselves by getting the right help and healing. Don't be so critical. If you're blaming yourself for everything that happens, it is likely that you are being way too critical on yourself and others around you. Try only worrying about the bigger issues and let the smaller issues go and learn when things can be fixed and when it is time to just let it go. Often at times, people who are judgmental of themselves are also very judgmental of others. This may not be how you want to come across, but mostly it is exactly how people see you. Sometimes people accept blame just to hear their friends tell them that it is not their fault. Don't worry so much about whose fault it is and worry more about what you can learn from the situation. Everyone makes mistakes, remember. It doesn't matter how much some people may pretend that they are perfect. We all make mistakes at times in our lives. Judging everyone for these mistakes isn't the best use of our time. Forgive yourself and others. Forgiveness is sometimes the hardest thing to offer to someone, and when it is ourselves that needs to be forgiven, it can even be more difficult. There is no way to move past a situation if there is no forgiveness. If you hang on to your own guilt and blame about a situation, then that situation and everything involved with it stays with you too. All of that negative energy will start to pull you down and prevent you from moving on. It may be easier to start forgiving other people before you are able to forgive yourself. It may seem like the impossible thing to do, but when you really forgive someone for a wrong, especially yourself, it is like a huge weight has been lifted off your shoulders, however. When you are able to forgive others, then you'll be able to forgive yourself and start loving yourself again. Forgiving others is saying to ourselves that what we have done in our life, I shall let go and move on forward and not to dwell on it. Learn and move on. Mistakes happen every day to everyone, and if we all just continue to blame ourselves all of the time instead of moving on, we would have a very sad and depressed world. Since the mistake has already happened, there is nothing you can do, and no amount of blame is going to change that. You can make your amends, whether that is saying you are sorry, repaying someone, or any other solution. You can learn from the mistake so you do not have to do it again. After this, all you can do is move on and live the rest of your life. Let the past stay in the past and start living for the future. The good news is that you have learned something from the mistakes you made, and you will be able to avoid it from happening again in the future. Blaming yourself will only work to bring you down and will not hopefully solve any problem. Love yourself enough to forgive yourself and move on. Well, this quickly ends a short and brief overview of should we blame the narcissist. Give me a like for thumbs up for support. Comment below. Follow me on my social media sites that's listed below. Feel free to also share these videos around. Feel free to private message me if you need to. So in order to do, guys, don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell if you haven't done so already. So in order to do, guys, thanks for your support, thanks for watching. Do what you love what you do. Until next time, Aspie signing out.